You came out early. You caught him with a couple punches, but second and third round, you didn't look like the same fighter. What was going on?
Gas tank was dry and there was no gas stations around.
Who do you feel is a good trainer?
Next question.
Oh,
I don't want you to throw. Yeah.
Oh,
They all are good trainers. Next question. And that would have beat Floyd was Vernon. He'd have beat Floyd.
wow.
Hagler versus Hopkins.
Damn, I had to go with the black guy on that one. And you know, in Little League football, they get that little jock strap.
Mhm.
So I got in the ring with that little jock strap on. And the referee said, "What are you doing, man?" I said, "This is a cup, man. This ain't Little League football. You're in the pros." He said,
Oh my.
I had to get out the ring
Wait,
and go borrow somebody's cup in the dressing room.
wait.
Oh,
Did
my
you have a
God.
trainer at the time for your very first fight? Did you have a trainer?
I trained myself.
Yo. What's going on, everyone? I'm Hawk Von Dame. I'm here with my brother, Mr. Get That Work. We are the 10 Checkers, and we got a legend here.
Yeah.
Legend. I'm not underselling this in any way. A world champion, two-time world champion.
Yes, sir.
I can't even go through his resume because he has fights from Mildred Taylor, Frankie Warren, Simon Brown. The list could go on of the legends he's fought. And I, from being the legendary trainer working with Arturo Gotti, Antonio Tarver, so many more. We got to give a round of applause for James Buddy McGirt.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that was an awesome intro, man. You have to work in show business with that one.
You're definitely one of my favorite trainers of all time, not of some time, of all time. And I remember having a conversation with my father, and he told me that you were actually a world champion. So I had to go back and, as a kid, do research on you. And, what was it like you winning your first title?
You know, I'm gonna be honest. You know, my first world title, I really didn't. How can I put it? Get to enjoy being a champion because it was like a dream come true. So I was in a zone. I was like in a fog for a long time. You know what I mean? I didn't really understand it until after I lost it the first time.
Wow. Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because it when I won it, when I came home, it took me like 4 days to come down. I was like, because that fight took me to a different place. Like it took me to the other side. It was such a tough fight that mentally I was in such a zone. It took me like 3 or 4 days when I got home to really come down. And then things were just happening so fast. And I was moving and grooving and, you know, living in New York, you know, and doing my thing. And next thing you know, I wasn't champion anymore.
Right.
Wow.
And then the reality hit me.
When did you?
Then,
I had the same injury. Well, a similar. I had a torn labrum, and my shoulder used to pop out. So whenever I sparred, I was always nervous of my arm. So I had to not only do 2 fights, I had to worry about trying to spar, but also not get hurt. When did you hurt your shoulder?
well, I started having shoulder problems in '88. And then in 1990, I was fighting a guy named Jose Bermudez on CBS, and I ruptured my bicep tendon in the 4th round.
Wow.
But I had 6 more to go. So I finished the fight. I won the fight. And after the fight, I had surgery, and they told me I won't fight again. And I was like, man, you people are crazy. I'll be fighting again. Long story short, I came back. They told me I have to take off over a year. I came back 6 months later. And I think over time that the wear and tear, overcompensating, is what created the rotator cuff problem.
Okay. You know, with all that being said, and you having an extensive career, what would you say was your toughest fight?
My toughest fight, I would have to say, was against Frankie Warren when I won the championship. I mean,
Okay.
The first
that's
fight,
a
or no, the second fight, right?
second fight. That's a fight I'll never forget, man, because like I said, mentally, I had to go to a whole different zone.
Mm-hmm.
And he took me there. You know what I mean? And that's something you'll never forget.
Yeah.
I went back and was watching the videotape, and I was trying to see the difference between Buddy McGirt before he started having the arm problems and later on. And when I got upon the Meldrick Taylor fight, this is back in '88, right? They were
Yeah.
saying that you were having problems back then.
Well, you know, I mean, I'm not going to blame my shoulder for that loss. I'm going to blame my stupidity for that loss. You know what I mean? I shouldn't have never ever fought. You know what I mean? But you know, I said I'm a champion. I got to go through with it. You know what I mean? I'll be okay. So I went out. I said to myself in the dressing room, I got to go out here in the first round. I got to try to get him out of here because I know I didn't have the energy to go 12 rounds.
Oh, hold on. Let me cut you off there because I noticed that immediately when I watched the fight. You came out early. You caught him with a couple punches, but second and third round, you didn't look like the same fighter. What was going on?
Gas tank was dry and there was no gas stations around.
That's real.
I went out and shot
real.
my load, man. I went out and shot my load. And then after that, shit, he had a field day with me. I mean, I ain't gonna lie.
I mean, you know, seeing that type of fight though is like crazy because we don't have that now. So looking back then, that's super respectable. It's really rare that we have a lot of wars now.
Right.
What do you think about the state of boxing now?
It's more of a business now. It's not like, okay, you know, like these guys bicker. Well, I don't want 2.1 million. I want 2.2 million. I mean, it's more of a business. And I think that's what's really killing the sport right now. It's more of a business, and it's about, listen, everybody wants to make money. I understand that, but I'm an old school guy, and I'm a believer that you want to leave a legacy, man. You know, you want to go out and say, yeah, this guy fought the best, win, lose, or draw. He put it on the line.
Right.
You know what I mean? So today, like I say, I don't watch boxing like I used to. I mean, I was sitting with a guy the other day, and when I left, I said, yo, buddy, that guy's a world champion. I said, what? What? I never heard of the guy. You got like 20 different champions in one division right now.
Yeah.
Super champion,
Yeah.
the interim champion, the regular champion. I mean, what's next, man?
You're right.
You know, the Kentucky Fried Chicken champion?
Yeah,
man.
Yeah.
You know, me and Hawk go back and forth with this, and I told him I feel like all those belts that they made up, I think that's one of the factors that cause all this crazy confusion in boxing right now. Like they need to simplify it something because it's too many, like you said, too many champions.
But you know what it comes down to? It's all about money because you got to pay sanctioning fees to all these organizations. So if you can get like 4 champions and have 4 championship fights say in 1 month, that's money coming in. You know what I mean? Now the only organization that's helping former champions is, from what I know, is the WBC. WBC is helping former world champions pay their bills, live. So they're taking some of that money and giving it back. I mean, I know a few fighters that were world champions, and they say, "Your buddy, man, the WBC is giving away X amount of dollars a month. Why don't you get yours?" I'm like, you know what? God bless me. I'll let them send it to somebody who needs it.
And I say this because when I got into boxing very young, you know, my father, he's more of a casual fan, but he watches all the time. He doesn't study it like I do, but when I was young and watching all the fighters and all they've been through and how a lot of them ended up going broke after becoming world champion and struggling, I could understand wanting to put the business sense first, but I do understand what you're saying where they're not even respecting the legacy and really trying to be great, where the fight that you had with Meldrick Taylor, y'all both were pretty much, a year apart in terms of career. And you look at it now, the young fighters aren't getting in the ring and they're all the same age. They're all in the prime. They all have the same popularity and they're just not willing to fight each other. Can't blame that on the money. I mean.
Well, you know, what happened with us in our era, and it always happens with any athlete, you know, we never had it. So we get the money and we think it's never going to end.
Right.
And then, everybody's your friend, everybody's your relative, everybody got your back. But when that ATM don't work no more, that card don't work, everybody vanish. So I say that to say this: these young guys can still take these fights for $2 or $3 million and stay busy, but just learn from us and say, yo, I can't make that mistake. I mean, I can't make that mistake. Some guys walk around with 20, 30 people around them. For what?
Right.
Why do you need that many people around you?
I
mean, no, ain't nobody gonna bother you.
Just to gander back of what you said, how you call it a business, for me, it's like a double-edged sword because, I don't feel like some of the guys back then around your time were getting paid like they're supposed to. So now it turned into, I'm trying to get paid and I'm gonna try and get out of there as early as possible. I could kind of understand that maybe from a boxing fan's aspect. That's not what I want to see, but I could kind of understand getting your money and making sure you get what you feel like you're worth and then trying to get out of there. But then it takes away from the legacy.
But now this is my thing. If you say you fight a fight and you make $4 million and you got a break and your next fight is like 7 months down the road, but in between you could take a fight for $1 million. Why not take that fight?
Yeah.
They not doing that today. Oh no.
These guys won't do that, man. Listen, I tell everybody a story. I was getting ready. I went to start training camp on a Saturday. When on my way there, I was reading an article about a guy from Scotland who's #1 in the world, who's fighting the following week at the Garden in New York. He's fighting the following week. So I get to my hotel, I set up. My manager calls me that night. He goes, "Hey kid," he goes, "you're not gonna believe this. There's a break in the card next week." I said, "Well, shit, how much they paying?" He said, $50,000. I said, "Well, I'll see you tomorrow morning." So my manager said, "What?" I said, "Listen, man, I'm fighting in 5 weeks for $15,000. I can make $50,000 in 1 week." I said, "This guy can't beat me." He goes, "Buddy, the guy's #1 in the world." I said, "I won't give a damn." I said, "1, the fight's in New York, my home. 2, he's never fought out of his country. And 3, we fight in the Garden."
Oh yeah.
I said, "Listen,"
that's a go.
I said, "We will spar Sunday to Friday," because the fight was the following Sunday. So we sparred Sunday to Friday. I sparred every day. I said, "Make the contract 148. So I made the contract 148. Weighed in Saturday, fought him Sunday. Bullshitted my way through the last 4 rounds and won the fight. Went home 50,000. I said, "Why would I wait 5 weeks to make 15,000 when I can make 50,000 in 1 week?"
That's right. Oh man.
You know what I mean? And everybody
Not
told me
doing that now, man. You were just built different. That whole era was built different.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah, man, listen, the gyms were built different in New York, man. You had Times Square, you had Gramercy Gym, Gleason's was there, Gleason's was, oh man, it was I miss those days, man.
So I'm wondering if you know about my gym. I mean, now I'm out in Bayshore, but growing up, I grew up half my life in Harlem, half in the Bronx. Do you know about Morris Park boxing gym?
In the Bronx?
Yes.
Isn't that where Davey Moore's from?
I'm not sure. That might have been my
come
time.
on now.
The guy that I know that was the
Davey Moore was junior middleweight champion of the world. I believe.
No, I remember him. Yeah, getting knocked out by Duran, right?
Yeah, but I remember Morris Park, man. Hey, listen, the Bronx, you had Fort Apache, you had Morris Park, you had, the gyms up in Harlem, you had Mickey Rosario. I mean, you had, coming from Long Island, man, I'll never forget. I get out the van and I'm with all these white kids from, from Huntington and Bayshore and all that shit. And we was fighting in Spanish Harlem and the kid gloves in the projects. They set the ring up right in the middle of the project. So I was fighting a guy named Miguel Carabello. I'll never forget, man. And he was from those projects. I was like 12. And I came out in the first round, I hit him with a hard shot, man. They started yelling shit in Spanish. I went back to the corner, came out the second round, I didn't throw one punch. My trainer said, and the people in the projects, they were on the fire escape, like right over the ring. So my manager was like, "What are you doing?" I mean, my amateur trainer. I said, "Man, you want to get out of here alive?"
Oh,
I said, man, I said, we came up in a nice, clean van. I'm like, man, I beat this guy. We ain't getting out of here.
Yeah. Oh man.
man.
Oh, that's crazy.
So I know you as legendary trainer. Who was the most talented fighter that you trained?
Wow. I would say back then, now, okay, back in the mid 2000s, it was Antonio Tarver and Vernon Forrest. These guys the world never saw the best of them. God bless Vernon, he's dead now.
Right.
The world never got to see the best of him or Antonio. Now I have two kids. One kid named Carlos Balderas, who's an Olympian, and another kid from Kazakhstan named Johnny Beck. I mean, these two guys, unbelievable talent, man. But back then, I got to go with Tarver and Vernon Forrest.
Are the two guys you just mentioned, are they pro or they still amateur?
Oh, no, they pro. I mean, Johnny Beck right now he's the mandatory for Andrade.
Oh,
they got purse bids next week for the fight.
I would assume that most people would think your most iconic, boxer would probably be Arturo Gatti. I always wanted to ask you though, how did that first meet go? Because in your career, you fought his older brother, and you knocked him out. So how did that conversation start? Like, was it weird, or was it like he just called you up like, hey, I want you to train me?
He didn't call me up. I'm gonna tell you exactly how it happened. I was in Vegas training the late Johnny Tapia.
Okay.
So Johnny's fight that got postponed. So I came home. I had moved to Florida. I was living in Florida at the time. And I went to the gym in town. When I went to the gym, Arturo was in there jumping rope. He gave me a hug. We was kicking it, and him and his friend Teddy. So he said to me, he goes, "Oh, what are you doing now?" I said, "Well, I got to start training Antonio Tarver next week, He says, "Well, I'm looking for a trainer." I said, "Okay." I said, "Well, how about we work a few days, see if we vibe, and if we vibe, we go from there." And he said, "Okay," and the rest is history.
Hold on, you are part of two of the most iconic. You are part of to me, in my opinion, that was the greatest fight of all time. And then you're also a part of the biggest upset of all time, in my opinion, because I'm a Roy Jones fan. And you totally crushed my idol. I mean, I almost like that.
Yeah, it's crazy. We was literally talking about this yesterday, and I said to him, Jones should have never fought him again. I was just like, why did he fight him? He already fought him once. Why did he fight him again? So I had to really go back and look at that fight.
Roy had to prove it wasn't a fluke.
Yeah.
Roy had a point to prove. Roy got his pride. He had a point to prove. And then, and then the third fight, I wish the third fight was in Tampa. Let me tell you, Tampa never be the same again. Even though Tampa Bay won the Super Bowl, that weekend of Tarver Jones in Tampa, you had Michael Jordan there. You had all the NBA players there supporting Roy. You had Gary Sheff. Listen, man, it was unfreaking believable, man. You had to be like, it's funny. A friend of mine got arrested for DWI the night before the fight. So they wasn't drunk. The cop was just giving us a hard time.
Okay.
They called me and said, "Buddy, come get me." I went over. The cop was like giving me a hard time. I said, "Look, man," I'm gonna be honest. They stopped drinking 3 hours ago, which they did. But another friend of mine who was the cop said, "Don't tell her, don't take the breathalyzer test." So she gets arrested. So I had to go the next day to bail her out. So the front desk guy says to me, "How long do you feel like waiting?" I'm like, "What are you talking about?" He goes, "If you give me 3 ringside tickets, I can get her out right now." I said, "Well, okay." I said, "I tell you what I can do though." I says, "I'm not going to give you 3 ringside tickets because ringside tickets were $1,000. Her bill was $500, so I'm not going to give you $3,000 to save $500. That's bad math." I says, "I tell you what I'll do." I says, "I'll give you 4 $500 tickets, and then boom." You know what I mean? And he's like, "Nope, I want the ringside." Because the $500 tickets I had were free. I was getting them for free. He didn't know that, but I was getting him on comp.
Right.
So I said, look, I give you 40, that's 2,000. And I paid the 500. And he goes, no, then you gotta wait. I said, fuck it, I wait. So I had to wait 2 hours in the parking lot, man. Because this motherfucker just wanted to be an ass. He made me wait 2 hours I said, man, listen, man. But anywho, that weekend was this. Ybor City will never be the same, man. I mean, to this day, my friends at Vero, they still talk about that weekend, man.
My fault. When we talk about Roy and Antonio Tarver, I always felt that Roy did himself a disservice by going back down in weight. The fight with John Ruiz, he started to look, that was, in my eyes, the first fight he started to look like he was getting old and he wasn't the same speed. Even though Roy, to me, Roy's the most talented fighter I've ever seen. Just speed-wise, everything. He wasn't technically the best. But then when I watched Tarver versus Hopkins, it looked like he had almost the Roy Jones effect with him, where maybe he wasn't the same fighter against Hopkins, even though Hopkins was older. He looked. What was wrong with Tarver that fight?
Well, he had just did the Rocky movie.
Rocky movie. I knew it.
And he was like, he came to camp 225 pounds.
I knew
Oh.
it. I knew it.
And he had to get down to 175. Let me tell you, I can tell you, Antonio, I love Antonio. No fighter's ever treated me as good as Antonio. I love him. I got nothing bad to say about him. I love him. He's my man. But when he got out of his car, I looked at him, I said, what the hell happened to you, man? He said, Hollywood, man. I'm like, damn. He was 225.
Wow.
I mean, so he spent the last 2 weeks alone just getting the weight off.
Wow.
I mean, he had got comfortable, he got comfortable in Hollywood, man. He was a superstar. Mason Dixon. You know what I mean? So, but but you live and learn, and he learned from it. And but he's a guy that I believe in my heart that the world never truly got to see the real Antonio Tarver. He has so much talent, man. And he's going to be a hell of a trainer, man.
Yeah. You also brought up Vernon Forrest. And a couple years ago, I was out in DR, and I was actually talking with one of his stablemates out there. And he was telling me the exact same thing that you said, that the world never got to actually see Vernon Forrest's full potential.
The one guy that would have beat Floyd was Vernon. He'd have beat Floyd.
Wow.
He'd have beat Floyd. Because Vernon was tall, rangy.
Yeah. Now that's a hell of a statement. You gotta explain to us what you saw in him that made you think that.
He was tall, rangy, fast, very student of the game, had a great boxing IQ. Great boxing IQ. And he when he used to be working, he would do a move. That's okay, do that again. And he'd look at me and say, what did I do? He just, the natural instincts, I'm telling you, he'd have beat Floyd.
Wow.
He'd have beat him. He's the guy that would have beat Floyd. And I mean, that's, Al Heyman had both of them. And he never made that match. Vernon was Al Heyman's first fighter.
Really?
He never made that match because he knew Vernon could beat Floyd.
Wow. See, now we did something a couple of months back, how we did a dream fight, and it was Floyd against Thomas Hitman Hearns. And I swung with Floyd and he swung with Hearns. Now, we want to ask you, because you said what you said about Vernon, do you think Hearns would have beat Floyd prime for prime?
Yeah. Sugar Ray Leonard would have knocked him out.
Oh my God! Yo,
Roberto Duran would have stopped him.
Oh my God!
Yeah, so you don't think Floyd would be able to hang with any of the?
Who would have gave Floyd fits?
Okay.
Wilfredo Benitez.
I can see that. See that.
But Ray Leonard would have knocked him out.
Yeah. So hold on, you going a little too fast for us. Hold on, you going too fast. So I wanted to do a little segment. It's new. The game is who would win in their prime, and we're gonna spit some boxes at you, and I want you to go through it. So of course, like my background, Tyson versus Ali in their prime, who would win?
Ali.
Oof.
Yeah, easy.
We got Hagler versus Hopkins.
Damn, I gotta go with the black guy on that one. You know what? That would have been that would have been interesting. That would have been an interesting fight. I can't answer that one.
Okay, so we got pound for pound, one of the greatest of all time, Ray Robinson versus my personal favorite of all time, Roy Jones.
At what weight?
I would say 160 or 168.
60, I gotta go with Ray Robinson. Ray Robinson, man. Ray, it could have been a good fight or a boring fight.
Right.
Because they're both tall and rangy. You know what I mean? But Ray Robinson, man, Ray was a genius. But if you beat Ray the first time, second time you're ass in trouble.
Absolutely.
I mean, Ray gets you to that's a good dream fight. That's a good one.
So now you already answered it, but I had Ray Leonard versus Mayweather.
Ray Leonard by late stoppage.
So fucking awesome. All right, man. I got Thomas Hearns versus Trinidad, 154.
2 rounds, Tommy Hearn goes home.
Oh shit.
Oh wow.
All right. We got Aaron the Hawk Pryor versus Manny Pacquiao.
Good fight. That would be interesting. At what weight now? 40 or 47?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like Pacquiao at 147.
That'd be interesting. Because Aaron Pryor was a beast. I can't pick in that one.
Oh man. So for the last one on who will win in their prime, and I'm talking about no injuries. No injuries. Pernell Whitaker versus Buddy McGirt, no injuries.
Buddy McGirt. But you know, Pernell would have beat Floyd. Pernell would have beat Floyd. Pernell would have beat Floyd.
I gotta ask, do you not respect how Floyd fights? Or do you not care for his style?
I respect how he fights. I respect everything that he has done in boxing and has achieved with himself. He's fought everybody that they put in front of him. I will give him that. But now we talk about a whole different animal. You're talking about Ray Leonard and Pernell Whitaker, whole different animal. I'm saying Pernell would have beat Floyd. 1, better fighter. 2, better corner. Georgie Benton, genius. One of the greatest trainers ever. Listen, I had 6 losses. 4 of them were to Georgie Benton. Georgie Benton and Eddie Futch gave me the formula to give Tarver to beat Roy Jones.
Hold on.
Wow.
I want to ask you this because I actually called that loss. I bought my motorcycle that day, and I remember talking to my father and going, today's the best day of my life, but it's going to end bad tonight. He was like, why? I said, Roy Jones isn't the same fighter once he moved back down. And then 2, he gave Tarver way too much confidence that first fight. What did you see? Because you were in this corner the first fight.
See, I learned something which makes sense. If people will watch the first Montel Griffin-Roy Jones fight,
I remember that
the
fight.
first 4 rounds, Montel Griffin had Roy Jones. Roy couldn't figure him out. Eddie Futch trained him for that fight. And Eddie Futch says, when you get a guy like Roy, you can't let him get his rhythm. Okay? That's 1.
Right.
2, Georgie Benton says, when you got a guy like Floyd, like Roy, you got to jump on him. You got to get in his ass right out the gate. And you got to punch when he punches. He goes, remember this, buddy. A guy cannot punch and block punches at the same time. And Roy very rarely throws straight punches. Roy throws wide shots because his offense is part of his defense. If you notice, when Roy throws the right hand, if he misses the right hand, he continues going to his left. That's his out. You know what I'm saying? Right. So I told Tarver, when he shoots the right hand, you shoot the right hook, he's going to run right into it. Wow. And then in the first fight, Roy was throwing a right hand to the body. So I asked Tarver, I said, did that hurt? He's like, no. I said, give it to him. When he shoots the right hand to the body, you go straight down the pipe.
Wow.
But those two geniuses, you know, talking to them, I talked to Eddie Futz, man, maybe 2 hours one day, a week before he died. I just picked his brain about everything and every fighter. Same with Georgie. I just picked their brains about any fighter and everything. How do you make a fighter do this? These guys were Ray Arcel. I had the pleasure of being with these guys. So I used to pick their brains, man, every chance I got. And I just took it and utilized it when I became a trainer. You know what I mean? And right. I sit to this day and I study fighters that they train. And I listen to them in the corner. You know what I mean? These guys were geniuses, man.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Definitely.
You know what I mean? So, you know, you gotta, you know, Georgie said to me, you gotta know certain fighters, you gotta know how to light the fire under their ass. You know what I'm saying? So, but now you missed one more good fight now.
Oh, let me hear it.
Carlos Monzon, Bernard Hopkins.
Wow.
Ask your dad about that.
Yeah, I'm that. I heard Carlos Monzon. See, certain fighters I looked at, and when you research, you watch them, they're timeless. Ray Robinson looks like they took him out of this era and dropped him in the black and white era. Same for Muhammad Ali, same for Leonard. Some guys are timeless. I don't necessarily see it with Carlos Monzon. I know I'm going to get the hate. I mean,
listen, he kept it basic, he kept it simple, but he was in dog shape. He was strong, long, and he used his height and his reach to his advantage. So, and he had a great trainer in Amilcar Brusa, very great trainer. So they don't have, today, most trainers today are good mittmen. I mean, there's very few teachers in the game today. Anybody can say, okay, give me one more round, do this, do that. But I tell a guy, if you do mitts with a guy, and when you get done, if you ever learned anything, you waste your fucking time. Wow. All that fancy shit is cool, but what are you learning from that? Absolutely nothing.
Right.
I mean, so, you know, if you know, one guy one day said, buddy, watch this. He did like a 20-punch combination. He was doing, I said, okay, what did you just learn? He looked at me like I had two heads. He goes, I ain't learned nothing. So what fucking good is it?
So, you know,
if you ain't learned nothing, what good is it?
Who right now do you like as a trainer? Because there's a lot of father and dad trainer boxers, you know, there's a lot of that. You know, like you had Lopez, you have Sean, who just retired. But who do you feel is a good trainer?
Next question.
Oh, I don't want you to throw. Yeah.
Oh. They all are good trainers. Next question. Listen, this is my thing, man. You know, like I said, I'm an old school guy. Okay. Yeah. Now you see, you got that picture of Ali Tyson behind you, right? Have you watched in its entirety the Thriller in Manila?
Yeah. I watched all the fights.
Okay, but have you, like, from round 1 to round 14?
Yeah.
Now you tell me what fighters today would dig down deep like those two men did.
No, they almost died, both of them.
And they were past their prime.
Yes. I had an argument with one of these Twitter clowns recently where they love Tyson, but they're shitting on Ali, and they're only bringing up Ali's second half of his career. And most of the stuff they brought up was after the Thriller in Manila. Could you please explain to them? The difference between Ali prior to the 3-year banishment and a little after, and then talk about the Ali that fought after the Thriller in Manila? Because he did get some favorable decisions, but I feel like
without a doubt. I mean, but But my thing is, I tell every young fighter, if you want to be a fighter, watch the Thriller Manila. Not for the skill, but for the will and the determination. And these two motherfuckers were killing each other, man.
Yes.
And the pace, you know what kills me is the pace that they kept at that age. I mean, Joe Frazier jogging back to the corner. I got tired watching the goddamn fight. You know what I mean? So, I mean, that's why I say today I don't really watch boxing, man, because these guys really don't understand it, man. They really, like I tell some guys, watch the Ray Leonard Tommy Hearns fight.
Yeah.
Tommy Hearns was the puncher. Ray was supposed to be the boxer. Midstream, the tides changed.
Round
Ray
6.
became the puncher. Tommy became the boxer. And Tommy, the puncher who turned boxer, was winning the fight. Ray Leonard said Tommy's jab is like a right hand.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know what I mean? But Ray found a way to get the job done.
Angelo Dundee, right? Was it Angelo Dundee? You're blowing it, kid.
Hey, he was a good motivator. You know what I'm saying? He was a good motivator, man. It's nuts and guts, baby, bullets and gun smoke. You know what I mean? You gotta go. Sometimes you gotta go out there and land on the line, man. I mean, I've had guys. I told them, I said, look, go out here this round and give it all you got. If you don't knock him out, I'm gonna stop it. And they said, okay, buddy. I mean, go out there, land on the line, man. Just let it. I mean, you're losing. We can't win a decision. So what we gotta do now? You gotta go out here and give it all you got. If it don't happen, we stop the fight, and you're good.
Right.
You know what I mean? But you don't have that no more, man. You don't see that intensity in guys no more, man. You don't. I mean, everybody wants to play it safe. Everybody, it's not the same, man.
Well, I just asked you about the trainers. Is there any boxer, even if it's one, that you like, just that you just like right now? Anybody who you look at?
There's a couple of fighters I like. I mean,
okay,
I like Terrence Crawford, Shakur Stevenson, Terrence Canelo, and Teofimo. Even though he lost, still like Teofimo. I mean, and that kid, what's her name? Josh Taylor.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So, there's a few guys out there I like. And even the guy that just beat Teofimo, he showed me a lot.
Oh, yeah.
But now you got to see what happens when he comes back now.
Right.
You know what I mean? His next fight. You know what I mean? His next fight. So, but yeah, I mean, there's a few guys out there I like. There's a lot of trainers out there I like. I'm good friends with a lot of them. You know what I mean? But I think that the game is lacking a lot of teachers. Not enough teachers in the game. You know what I mean? Anybody can get someone in shape. Anyone can get in the corner and motivate a guy. But if a guy comes back to the corner and you got to switch gears and come up with a different plan between round 5 and 6, how many trainers can do that?
True.
When I was watching your fight with not your fight, you were Tarver versus Bernard Hopkins. I remember you telling him, look, you're headhunting too much. You were trying to tell him to do certain things, and it just looked like what you said with the Rocky movie. He was a step too slow. Certain things that you were telling him to do. I remember you telling him not to headhunt so much, and certain things, and I could see what he was thinking. He just couldn't do it.
Nah, listen, Antonio, like I said, I love him. And when we go to fights, he always lets me know where he's at all times. I don't have to look for him. The times he didn't let me know, he lost. With Glenn Johnson and with the first time and with Bernard. Normally, like before a fight, like we get there a week of the fight, I could be in my room, Antonio call me and tell me to come downstairs. I go downstairs, and we'll be walking through the casino, wherever we at. He have his crew with him, and he'd be like, "But hey, where you at?" I'm like, "I'm behind you." He just wanted me there. You know what I'm saying? He didn't want me for anything.
Right.
He just wanted me there. And I stick around with him for about an hour. They'd be like, "All right, buddy, you can leave." But for the first Glenn Johnson fight and for the Bernard Hopkins fight, I couldn't tell you what room he was in.
Wow.
The other fights, he would always call me. The Roy Jones fights, yo, buddy, yo, man, meet me. Even when he fought Roy in Tampa, He called me and said, yo, I'm around the corner. I'm getting ready to pull up, man, in my car. Be in front of the hotel. Now, I want you to be there when I get there. I go downstairs, boom. I'm outside the hotel. He pulls up. We get out. We bullshit for a little while. I don't see him no more till it's time to go to the gym. So there's a little instances that lets me know that when he does that, I know his mind is where it needs to be.
Right.
You know what I mean? When we went to Australia to fight Danny Green, he called me the week of the fight. It's like, yo, I need you out here in Australia. I said, when? He goes, yesterday. I'm like, hold up, man. I got to get my passport. And when I got to Australia, believe me, he would call I was with him everywhere he went. He won't talk to me. He'd be talking with his crew. And every now and then be like, buddy, where you at? I'm like, I'm right here, man. He's like, all right. You know what I mean? But, you know, when he does that, I'm like, I don't give a shit who he's fighting. They're in trouble. Because I know he's got his mind set on what he has to do.
You know, one of my favorite fighters, Andre Ward, said, you know, he feels that boxing is 90% mental and the other 10% physical. Would you agree with that?
In some sense, yeah. Because people really don't understand, man, what fighters really go through mentally, bro. I mean, just think you're sitting in the dressing room and say you got an hour and you got a man out there that's going to try to do his best to knock your motherfucking brains out. And you have no second string. You can't call a timeout. You can't say, hold up, let me go change the play. I mean, and the worst part of it is, if you're in the dressing room and you're not feeling yourself, you're like, I don't feel right today. That's weighs extra on your mind. So it's like, so when guys, you know, Mike Tyson said it best, when guys say, oh man, I don't think, but I ain't nervous, then either you're a liar or you're a psychopath. Because now when the bell rings and you get hit the first time, then maybe, yes, now you're in your zone. But I believe me, 1,000 things go through your mind before you get in that ring. And that walk from the dressing room to the ring is the longest walk in the world. It's like, damn. But once you get in the ring and the bell rings and you come out, you're okay.
Right.
But until then, I mean, listen, I used to go to sleep in the dressing room. And sometimes I say, well, hopefully when I wake up, this shit is done over. I wake up and my hands ain't even wrapped yet. I'd be like, damn.
Yeah.
It has to be so mental because I done been through so many surgeries and rehabs. You had shoulder problems and became a world fucking champion. If that doesn't tell you how much is mind over matter, I don't know what would be. You know?
My first fight was against the Kenny Lamont Hayes coach. I was in high school. They called me on a Thursday, and the fight was on a Tuesday. And they said, I said, I was 18, man. So I was like, how much they paying? They said $200. So I'm 18. I said, $200? Shit, I'm there. You know what I mean? And it was a Tuesday. I went to school. After school, my manager picked me up, and we drove to Jersey. And the fight was in a bingo hall it was called, it was in the Embassy Hall in North Bergen.
Wow.
You know what I mean? And all I remember is the bell ringing and the bell ending. I don't remember rounds 1, 2, 3, or 4. You talk about nervous. You know what I mean? I'm like, damn, I'm in the big. Listen, I'm gonna tell you what I did when I got there. I used to play Little League football, you know. And you know, in Little League football, they get that little jock strap. So I got in the ring with that little jock strap on. And the referee said, what are you doing, man? I said, this is a cup. He said, man, this ain't Little League football. You're in the pros. He said,
Oh my.
I had to get out the ring.
Wait.
And go borrow somebody's cup in the dressing room.
Oh, wait.
Oh
Did you have a
my
trainer
God.
at the time for your very first fight? Did you have a trainer?
I trained myself.
Yo.
That's
I trained at the Suffolk County PAL in Babylon. It was on 109. It was in the basement of the precinct, man. I trained myself. They called me on a Thursday night. And they said, yo, buddy, there's a fight. The guy who I just signed with, he goes, kid, there's a fight on Tuesday. I said, $200? I'm taking it. So I trained Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I mean, Monday I went to the weigh-in Monday in Jersey. I mean, then and Tuesday, bam, I was in North Bergen after my manager picked me up from school about 12:30. I got out of school early, and boom, we drove to Jersey.
Yeah, you might be a psychopath because he motivated himself to get a ring with no trainer. Yeah, that's why. Wait. So when did you get a trainer?
Listen, right after that, the guy. It's funny. The guy who managed me said to me, "I want that old man over there to train you." So the old man was a guy named Don Amorosa, who had, all winners on the show. So the Dominic says, "I'll train the kid, but he's got to come to Hoboken." So my trainer said, "Okay." So I used to go to school, get out of school at 12. I used to take the 12:27 train to Penn Station, then walk to the PAVS train, take the PAVS train to Hoboken, then walk them out to the gym. Wow. Train, do that, come back. I did that for 6 years.
Wow.
I mean, I did it my senior year of high school. And then after that, I did it for 6 years, man. And then the gym moved to Jersey City. So now I had to catch the path to Journal Square and walk a mile and a half to the gym. And I learned all the shortcuts in between the buildings, but in the wintertime, ain't no such thing as a shortcut.
Yeah.
I mean, I got stuck on the Long Island Railroad in February of 1983. I got stuck on the railroad for 5 hours in one spot in Wyandanch. It snowed so bad that it stopped in Wyandanch, and it says, "Okay, we're gonna go back to Ronkonkoma, but we gotta wait 5 hours." I sat on that damn train with $2 in my pocket.
I don't want to take up too much more of your time, buddy. But can we get into Arturo Gatti, man? Could you tell us, God rest his soul, man? He was one of my favorite. I guess he's almost any boxer has to love Arturo Gatti. Do you got any stories that maybe the public don't know behind the scenes? Anything referring to Gatti?
And the guy was, how could I put it? He was just different, man. He just had a great guy, big heart. He had a lot of trust issues. He didn't trust anybody. You know what I mean? But he had a big heart, man, and he was something else, man. When he wanted it, he wanted it. Mm-hmm. When we trained for the third Mickey Ward fight, he was having hands trouble. He goes, "Coach, I'm going through with this fight." And he went to a bicycle store, and they had a special seat they had on a bike for people that ride bike long distance, like the cyclists. Mm-hmm. And the cushion was supposed to be good for their butts. So he bought the seat, cut the cotton out of the seat, and asked me to put it on his hand. I'm like, "Man, are you crazy?"
What?
He cut the freaking, no bush. He bought the seat off the bike and cut cut the padding out of the seat. That shit was like about this thick. It was about this thick. And he had me wrap his hands with it every day for 2.5 weeks, man.
Oh my God.
And he could barely get his hand in the glove. He goes, "Coach, I'm going through this fight, man. I don't care." And I said, "I'm with you."
Okay.
Was that the same hand he ended up breaking in the fight?
His hand was, yeah. As soon as he hit him on the hip, that was it.
Oh, man.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Now, he didn't use that in the fight, though. He just used whatever was allowed. That wasn't allowed.
No. In the fight, he had to use the regular hand wraps. When he broke his hand, I said, "Okay, what you want to do?" He goes, I can't quit. But we had worked on using the left hand more in training. Mm-hmm. Like, he had to give me X amount of left hooks in training. But it's funny, something he had said to me after the second fight. He said, because he broke his hand in the second fight. He said, "When I broke my hand in the second fight, coach," he goes, "after the third round, I got immune to the pain and I forgot about it." So in the third fight, when he broke his hand, I said, "Don't ask him about his hand anymore. Just let him go through and hopefully he get immune to the pain." And he did.
Wow. That's a different type of man.
Yeah, that's classic, right?
Yeah.
Work. You got anything else for him?
No, man. No, I think this has just been fun.
Yo, this has been
All right, man. I appreciate it, fellas.
Nah, we appreciate
you.
you, man. You have no clue, brother.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, man.
All right, man. Have a good one, fellas.
Take care, buddy.
All right,
All right.
buddy.
Who is that? Well, because, Freddie, I'm the type of person that if you beat me or do anything to me, I want to come back and get you under the same circumstances. He beat me here in Corpus Christi, so I wanted to come back and beat him here in Corpus Christi, and that's exactly what I'm going to do.
Ladies and gentlemen,